What's up everybody, this is Master Ian Gamer, and today we got even more details regarding the upcoming Season 7 Sombra Rework, this time detailing the exact patch notes and ability stats that you'll be getting with these upcoming changes. This was part of a longer blog post detailing the rework overall, where they talk quite a bit about the philosophy of the changes and why they settled on some of the things they did. And while there are a few points in this blog post I would like to read out because I find them rather interesting, first and foremost I do want to read just the simple patch notes for these changes. And first up we have Machine Pistol, damage increased from 7.5 to 8, minimum spread reduced from 0.5 to 0, number of shots until max spread has been increased from 3 to 6 shots, and reload time reduced from 1.4 seconds to 1.2 seconds. So overall, this is basically a collection of mini buffs for her machine pistol specifically. But next up we have Hack. Cast time reduced from 0.75 seconds to 0.65 seconds. It now cancels stealth when hacking an enemy hero. Cooldown increased from 4 to 6 seconds. Hack has a reduced cooldown of 3 seconds if hack is interrupted or if a non-hero enemy is hacked, and the hacked warning text will now only appear while you are silenced and not for the remainder duration of the hack debuff. So again, we're looking at a number of fairly small changes here to the hack ability in particular. I think one of the most outstanding things is the fact that hack now cancels stealth, which means you can no longer hack while invisible. That is a pretty sizable change. But of course, stealth overall as a mechanic has been reworked, and we'll be getting onto that in just a moment. Next up though, Opportunist, her old passive ability, has been outright removed. It is no longer a part of her kit. And getting on to now Stealth, ability reworked to be a passive. Sombra automatically becomes invisible after 3.5 seconds while not shooting, using a damaging ability, or receiving damage. Stealth movement speed bonus reduced from 60% to 45%. Fade out duration into stealth reduced from 0.375 seconds to 0.25 seconds. Fade in duration from stealth reduced from 0.5 seconds to 0.375 seconds. And updated the UI messaging to the Sombra player when hacking health packs to revealed instead of detected. Now the message detected is only used when an enemy player is in the detection radius. So yes, the big change here with stealth is that it is now a passive which automatically activates when you basically aren't doing anything. I kind of like it just because it's a simplification of the stealth ability, and honestly 9 times out of 10 you would want to just go into stealth in these scenarios anyways. So it is an interesting direction, and I'm curious to see how it really ends up impacting her play style just on the stealth front, but she does get a rather sizable nerf to her speed bonus while in stealth, so it's not quite as effective then for the mobility aspect of it, but certainly the invisibility is still very, very strong. Next up though, we get her brand new ability, Virus. This is a new ability assigned to ability 1 by default. Fire a projectile that damages an enemy over time. Damage is dealt faster on hacked enemies. Impact damage is 10, 20 if the target is hacked, and the damage over time is 100 over the course of 4 seconds, or 100 over the course of 2 seconds if the target is hacked. So this is a pretty simple, clean-cut skill shot type ability that just hit them with it and it deals damage over time. Nothing really too fancy or special here about it other than its interaction with hacked targets where that damage is dealt twice as fast. But honestly, not much to say overall about it. It's just an extra source of damage in her kit, which I think does sort of push her more in line with other damage heroes who usually tend to have at least a couple damaging elements in their kit. So again, I am rather curious to see how this new ability actually impacts her playstyle and everything. Translocator though did also get notably reworked. It can now no longer be manually activated. Translocator will now automatically teleport Sombra after 0.25 seconds from being thrown or when impacting the environment. Reduces the stealth passive cooldown after teleporting. Projectile speed increased from 25 to 72. Cooldown reduced from 6 seconds to 5 seconds. And cooldown now begins after Sombra teleports to the location of the transponder. Projectile launch initial vertical offset has been removed. This, I think, is one of the most notable changes in terms of reworking her existing abilities, since a huge component of Sombra's playstyle prior to this rework was setting up the translocator in a safe space so that you could very easily just teleport away as soon as you're about to take enough damage to die. Now, that element of her playstyle is simply no longer there. Instead, she has to use it to sort of skedaddle away, more similar to how an Ashe would use her coach gun in order to project project herself away, with the added benefit now of being able to stealth more quickly upon using it. But at the same time, since you're throwing out a physical little projectile, players will be able to see you throw that out, and they'll be able to see where you've gone upon using it, and since it's something she throws and she only teleports to the location she throws it, I think it's going to be a lot harder to escape engagements with this new version of Translocator, which of course was done intentionally to make it so she doesn't just always have that easy out. Again, this is an ability which I am very eager to see actually in action in terms of playing the game, because this is quite a substantial change to her kit and playstyle, and I think is going to have a pretty sizable impact. And last for her kit, EMP ultimate charge cost increased by 15%, and health percent damage decreased from 40% to 30%. So across the board, this is just a simple clean-cut nerf for her ultimate EMP, but other than that, it really doesn't behave any differently than it did prior to the rework. Now, getting onto some of the information they actually covered here in this blog post, there's a lot of talk about the philosophy of Sombra and wanting to maintain her hacker identity while making her playstyle more engaging, and also shifting away from that get out of jail free card she effectively had with the Translocator and how it worked in the previous version. And specifically the part of this blog post which I would like to focus on and discuss is the exploring new abilities portion. With the mobility and survivability in a place we felt happy with, we began iterating on new forms of damage. A long list of ideas was explored, ranging anywhere from cybernetic devices to digital malware. An early idea at the top of the list was a laser wire trap. An idea from her original design, Sombra would place a trap on a wall and it'd automatically trigger on nearby enemies to deal damage and slow them. Playtests showed that it took too much time preparing the trap and had little to possibly no effect during combat, so we went back to the drawing board. Another ability was called cybernetic wire and would deal damage in an arc, dealing bonus damage to enemies at low health. The intent was to secure kills as a finishing blow style ability. This felt too oppressive though because of the high amount of instant damage that could be dealt with it to multiple enemies at once, and it was sometimes difficult for Sombra to perceive the physical range in first person while simultaneously using the machine pistol. Though there were problems, there was excitement around this new form of damage, and we then pivoted to skill shot ability ideas instead. Eventually, the ability known as Virus was born as a projectile that deals damage over time. It synergized well with the ranged playstyle, and enemies had more time to respond to the damage over time. We learned that this new form of damage can make Sombra players less likely to hack enemies when engaging out of stealth, so we explored a bonus interaction when Virus impacts hacked targets. Some bonus Virus impact ideas were reducing its cooldown when hitting hacked enemies, or spreading the damage to nearby targets, but neither of those felt very clear to enemy players. We settled with the idea of making Virus deal faster damage over time for hacked targets, since that had a better balance for enemies to notice and react to the effects. So that portion I found interesting just because it delves into some of the other ideas they were exploring and testing around. I definitely think that cybernetic wire and laser trap are interesting ideas, and I wonder if we'll ever end up seeing something like that appear in a different hero's kit at any given point, since evidently they just didn't feel like the right fit for Sombra, at least not at this point in time. But beyond that, most of the rest of this blog post was just sort of dev talk about the different aspects of the redesign process. Nothing too terribly exciting, but you can of course go ahead and read it for yourself. It is up with the other blogs on the Overwatch website. And so I'll just end this video by asking, what are your thoughts on the Sombra rework? What are your thoughts on the details that have been shared thus far? And do you have any thoughts one way or the other on whether you think this is the right direction to take the character? It is worth noting that hero reworks basically always play out much differently in game relative to what they look like they're going to end up doing on paper, so I'm eager to get into some proper matches and see how this actually ends up feeling once the season goes live. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe, hit up that bell icon, come follow me on X, and join my Discord server to hang out and never miss any of my future Overwatch content. Special thanks to my YouTube channel members who help make these videos possible, and if you'd like to join them to earn some cool rewards, then just hit that join button down below. Otherwise, this is Master Ian Gamer signing off, and until next time, have a great day.